This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.
Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKSIAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSE, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examination. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session is in regards to the DNA of the Hindu newspaper of today's, that is of 30th January 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, which we will be able to identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be useful for the preliminary examination. And while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examination, your answers would be precise and concise, and thereby you would score higher marks in the mains examination. So this session at AKSIAS Academy Daily News Analysis will help you to clear both prelims as well as mains examination of 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would focus at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that if you can dream it, you can do it. So what is very important is the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So when you start, it starts while you dream, and then you can do it. So if you can dream it, you can do it. And now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper. And the DNA or the newspaper constitutes much about the economic survey of 2020-2021, and the economic survey predicts 11% growth in the next fiscal year, that is in the year 2021 and 2021. The India's economy or India's growth will be 11% in the year 2021. And as per the economic survey 2021, it says that that is India's economy is in the middle of a V-shaped economic recovery. So the keyword here is the economic recovery. What India is now experiencing is V-shaped recovery. That is, India is firmly in the middle of V-shaped recovery, and thereby India's growth rate will be 11% in the year 2021, that is in the next fiscal. And if we focus the economic growth or India's growth in the year 2020-2021, that is this fiscal year, it is contracting 7.7%. And because India's economy is in the middle of the V-shaped recovery, from 7.7 contraction in the year fiscal 2020-2021, it will have a record of 11% growth in 2021-2022. And this is what the economic survey is predicting. And this survey has been tabled in the parliament on January 29, 2021. And the economic survey has defended the stimulus or fiscal stimulus which has been taken up by the government or the union government during the initial phase of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And it says that this fiscal stimulus taken up by the government has pushed down the entire contraction, and it has helped for the growth of 11% in the next fiscal, that is in the year 2021. And the survey also says that pushing down the accelerator, that means you are pushing or you are pressing the accelerator while the brakes are clamped. So there doesn't mean any sense while you are clamping the brakes as well as pushing the accelerator. So what does it happen? It is just only a wasting of fuel, and thereby now this economic survey has compared with the accelerator brakes, which if it is used simultaneously, it is only wasting the fuel. So as per the economic survey, it is very important that the conservative fiscal stimulus which has been taken up by the government during the initial phase of the pandemic has brought the contraction of 7.7 economic growth towards 11% growth in the year 2021. And the survey also has focused on a keyword, that is lockdown dividend. So here the keyword what we will be focusing in the analysis of the Hindu newspaper, that is DNA, is the lockdown dividend. So the survey says that the lockdown dividend from the country's stringent response to the COVID-19 pandemic. That means the conservative fiscal stimulus response by the union government is nothing but it is a lockdown dividend, which the survey is terming it lockdown dividend because of the stringent or conservative fiscal stimulus taken up by the government during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And thereby the keywords what we need to focus is that middle of the V-shaped recovery and lockdown dividend. And the survey also says that the V-shaped economic recovery has come into existence, or we have experienced the V-shaped economic recovery while we have avoided certainly a second wave of infections, and which has made India a sui generis, that is of its own kind. So India making its own kind as a unique synchronized global recession. So therefore the V-shaped economic recovery has certainly avoided the second wave of infection. And the survey also added that the rapid vaccination rollout, so this is a keyword, the vaccine or rapid vaccination rollout in the year 2021 could boost the economic recovery because it would help the services sector, and also the services sector will stir up, or which will bounce back or surge because of the private consumption and investment. So certainly there is a link with the health, with the economy. How we would be looking at health as a rapid vaccination rollout with the economy, that is with the stirrup or the surge in the private consumption and investment, especially in the services sector. And the survey has also urged the country's mature policy response. That means the stringent or the fiscal stimulus taken up by the government is a mature policy response, and this mature policy response, that is fiscal stimulus taken up by the government, is once in a century crisis, which the mature policy response has provided important lessons for democracies to avoid a myopic, that is narrow-minded policy making. That means the government has taken up a long-term perspective policy making, so that it has learned from the once in a century crisis that the democratic or the democratic countries such as India had avoided a narrow-minded policy making and has brought in a long-term gains by the fiscal stimulus. And the once in a century crisis has provided that it demonstrates significant benefits of focusing on long-term gains. So what is very important, that the survey has argued that the country's mature policy response to the once in a century crisis has provided that the democracies or all the countries across the globe should avoid a narrow-minded policy making and should focus on long-term gains. So here the keyword along with the mature policy response is the once in a century crisis. So COVID-19 pandemic is a once in a century crisis which has helped the democratic countries in the world to avoid the narrow-minded policy making and focus on long-term gains. And the economic survey says that in the year 2021-2022 there would be a sharp recovery of the real GDP, and that it would be somewhere close to 10% to 12%, which could be around 11.5%. And this 10 to 12 percentage of growth, GDP growth is expected, and that would be because of the low base effect and inherent strength of the economy. That means Indian economy is still strong because of the strong fiscal stimulus taken up by the government. And the economic survey says that the sharp recovery of India's GDP in the year 2021-2022 of around 10 to 12 percentage would be because of the low base effect and inherent strength of the economy. And the survey has also assumed that the economy grows with the growth rate of 6.5 percentage in the year 2022 and 2023, and with 7 percentage in 2023-2024. And this growth rate, trend of the growth rate going beyond 2021 and 2022 would be 6.5 and 7 percentage respectively in the fiscal years of 2022 and 23 and 2023 and 24. And this economic growth will be aided because of the structural reforms taken up by the Union government or Government of India. Here the keyword is structural reforms. So the economic survey has said that now India is in the middle of the V-shaped economic recovery. So we will look at various or different types of economic recovery, and there are 4 or in total 5, that is V-shaped, U-shaped, W-shaped, L-shaped, and then swoosh or tick italicized V-shaped rebound. So all these are economic recovery, that is rebound, which are of different shapes, and this I have taken up for UPSC prelims economy perspective, focusing on the shapes of economic recovery. This image have taken in consideration for the benefit of all the civil servant aspirants in regards to the prelims UPSC perspective, wherein there could be a probable questions on the shapes of economic recovery. So there are V-shaped, U-shaped, W-shaped and L-shaped in general. And in V-shaped, the decline would be very fast, and again there would be this surge or the growth will surge immediately. But in the U-shape, there will not be immediate surge in the economy, but the decline would be, and it will wait for some time, and then the recovery will not be all of a sudden. It will be a U-shaped, will not be out of the crisis. And W-shaped, we can see that the decline and the surge takes place in a consecutive manner. That means we cannot talk about here stable growth. Here we cannot talk about the stable growth or economic recovery. That means there could be definitely a kind of inconsistency in the growth. There is decline and then surge, again decline, again surge, and this is W-shaped. And L-shaped is there is a decline, but you cannot expect a surge as we can see it in the V-shaped. There will be, the growth will be at a decline stage for some time, and later on it will grow or surge, not as a V-shaped but as a U-shaped. So this is L-shaped one. And then you have a italicized V-shaped rebound, wherein the decline will take place, but we cannot, we can expect that it will not hit to the brink of the slowdown of the economy, but it will surge immediately. But if you look at what has been mentioned by the economic survey, that India is in the middle of the V-shaped economic recovery, and because of the coronavirus there was a doubt that what kind of economic recovery India will experience. Now the answer has come from the chief economic advisor that through the economic survey India is in the middle of the V-shape. So this I have taken the image for the prelims UPSC perspective from economy. And there is another news which talks about the funds received by NGOs. So the funds received by NGOs, the government is tightening it to oversee the funds which are received by NGOs into India. And to oversee it, it is the Union Home Ministry which has come up with a charter, that is rules and regulations for banks here, not for NGOs especially, but to be specific, the Union Health or Union Home Ministry has laid down a charter for banks. And it says that, the charter says that all the donations which are received in the Indian currency, that is in Indian rupees, by any NGOs, or it could be any associations with any foreign source, that foreign source or NGO or associations which are even located in India, at the time when the donation is actually getting into few of the banks, that should be treated as foreign contribution. So here the keyword is foreign contribution, which we are focusing, and Union Home Ministry has laid down the rules and regulations, that is charter for banks, that whatever donations are received in Indian rupees by any NGOs and associations which are also located in India should be treated as foreign contribution. So here the keyword is foreign contribution. And the Union Home Ministry has also added that the donations which are given in Indian rupees from any foreigners which are including the Indian origin, it is not only NGOs, it is not only associations, but also Indian origins, that is foreigners, individuals like overseas citizens of India, persons of Indian origin, should also be treated as foreign contribution. So here the keyword what we are focusing in regards to the funds received by NGOs, which wherein the government is tightening the overseeing the funds received by NGOs by the Home Ministry, which has laid down charter for banks, is for foreign contribution, defining or treating what contribution should be treated as a foreign contribution. So the keywords here are foreign contribution. And as per the existing rules, the central government within 48 hours of any receipt or utilization of any contribution or any foreign contribution from by any NGO or association or an individual, whether they are registered or they have been given permission under FCRA, have to be reported to the central government within 48 hours of receiving or utilization of the foreign contribution. So look at it here, the existing rule that as soon or within 48 hours, whenever there is a receipt or utilization of the foreign contribution by NGO, association or any person, they have to be reporting to the central government within 48 hours. And the FCRA, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010, has been amended by the Parliament in September 2020, and a new provision has been added by the amendment to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010, and that amendment is by including a new provision, and the new provision makes mandatory for all NGOs to receive foreign funds in a designated bank account at a State Bank of India, New Delhi, and this was inserted. I repeat once again, the amendment which was made to the FCRA Act 2010 in September 2020 has come up with a new provision, and the new provision is that it makes mandatory for all NGOs to receive the foreign funds in a designated bank account at SBI in New Delhi branch, and this is part of the new provision which was amended to the FCRA Act. I will explain in detail about the foreign funds by the NGOs, linking it to the State Bank of India. And here all NGOs who are seeking foreign donations, here the concept is they have to open a designated FCRA account at the SBI branch by March 31st, 2021. So this is the new provision which has been amended, and it is mandatory to the NGOs who are receiving the foreign donation to open and designated FCRA account at SBI branch by March 31, 2020. And the NGOs, while they are opening a designated FCRA account at SBI branch New Delhi, they can retain the existing FCRA account in any other bank, but they can retain the existing FCRA account in any other bank, but they should open an account, that is FCRA account, at the SBI branch at New Delhi, which wherein they have to be mandatory linked to the SBI branch. That means any existing FCRA account can be retained, but it should be mandatorily linked to the SBI branch which is in New Delhi. That is why it is mandatory by the new provisions which has been included by the amendment to the FCRA Act 2010, that the FCR or all the NGOs who are gaining or getting the foreign contribution or receiving the foreign contribution should open an SBI FCRA account at the SBI branch. And what does FCRA does? That is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. It regulates the foreign donations. It not only regulates, it ensures that any such contribution by the NGOs into India do not adversely affect the internal security of the country. So this is a key phrase. And the FCRA we are talking about, or else the Union Home Ministry coming up with stringent action or a new charter for the banks is taken into consideration into FCRA, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And this FCRA Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, NGOs, associations or Indian origins like OCI and PIO, all the funds which have been received should be considered under FCRA. And why we are focusing on the FCRA, which is very important, is from internal security from mains perspective, which will be part of GS paper 3. So foreign donations should open FCRA account at SBI branch, even though they are having already existing FCRA account in any other bank, but still it is mandatory that those accounts, FCRA designated account in other banks, should be linked to the SBI branch in New Delhi. So look at it how they have laid down the charter to the banks, linking it with the foreign contribution. And India's rating don't reflect economy's fundamental. This is statement made by Chief Economic Advisor Krishnamurthy Subramanian. He says that India's sovereign credit ratings do not reflect India's economy or Indian economic fundamentals. So here the keyword or the key phrases are India's sovereign credit ratings and economy's fund or India's economic fundamentals. So here the link is between or analysis is between India's sovereign credit ratings versus India's economic fundamentals. So this is the keywords which you need to focus so that you will understand the entire concept of what the Chief Economic Advisor Krishnamurthy Subramanian is talking about. The sovereign credit ratings which do not reflect the India's economic fundamentals. And he has also pitched for the sovereign credit rating methodology. Please do understand here again another key phrase, that the methodology used for the sovereign credit rating should be made more transparent and less subjective is the pitch which is been made by the chief economic advisor in regards to the sovereign credit rating methodology. And the economic survey which has been tabled in the parliament on January 29, 2021 has also added that the sovereign credit ratings do not reflect the India's economy fundamentals, and it says that the noisy, opaque and biased credit ratings certainly will damage the FPI flows, that is foreign portfolio investors. So this is very, very important, that there could be a possibility of a question that sovereign credit ratings do not reflect the India's economic fundamentals. Noisy, opaque and biased ratings damage foreign portfolio investment flows into India. Critically analyze for the mains perspective economy. So here the emphasis is on the India's sovereign credit ratings and the pitch by the chief economic advisor that the sovereign credit rating methodology has to be made more transparent and less subjective. If not, the existing noisy, opaque and biased credit ratings, if they are not transparent and less subjective, there would be a damage to the FPI flows. So critically analyze. For mains perspective question, you can try answering this question. And developing economies must address together the bias and subjectivity in the sovereign credit rating methodology so that it will prevent the crisis even in the future. And that is what is being emphasized in the economic survey. And the chief economic advisor has also pointed the problems of Indian administrative process. Here we are focusing on the problems in the Indian administrative processes, and these problems are that the Indians or India's administrative processes, it derives less from lack of compliance to process, or it derives less regulatory standards. But India's administrative process is more of over regulation. Please do understand what the chief economic advisor is pointing at the problems of India's administrative process, and then he is hinting at the changes to be made to the sovereign credit rating methodologies, because India's administrative processes are less derived from lack of compliance to processes or less of regulatory standards, but it has over regulations, and India's over regulates the economy. Please do understand, India or India's sovereign credit ratings over regulates the economy, and because India's administrative processes over regulates the India's economy, this results in regulations being ineffective even with relatively good compliance. So look at it, the regulations are being ineffective because there are more of, or else there are over regulations by the sovereign credit ratings onto the India's economy. Thereby regulations are becoming ineffective even though while we have relatively good compliance. So here the keywords are regulations being ineffective and relatively good compliance, regulatory standards, lack of compliance to processes, and India having over regulations. So these are the keywords which, if you can focus your understanding in regards to, as we discussed, sovereign credit rating agencies versus India's economic fundamentals, you will understand what is that the chief economic advisor has reflected or pitched in the economic survey. And there is another news which talks about withdraw forbearance. So forbearance is the one which is to be withdrawn. That means when we are talking about forbearance, that is the regulatory forbearance. That is refraining from something. That means moving away from something, withdrawing something. So what is that something? That is that, as we have seen, union government providing physical stimulus and having regulatory mechanism. So the economic survey has prescribed or asked an early withdrawal of regulatory forbearance, so that this regulatory forbearance, which was adopted during the pandemic situation to ward off, that means to overcome the threat of financial sector failures which would impact the India's economy, has to be withdrawn immediately. And this regulatory forbearance was adopted so that we can try to overcome the threats of the financial sector, and which would impact very minimally onto the India's economy. And now, as India is in the middle of the V-shaped economic recovery, it is essential, it is imperative that India should withdraw the regulatory forbearance. And what does the forbearance represent? It represents emergency medicine. Regulatory mechanism is what? Emergency medicine. And this forbearance should be discontinued. Please do understand here. The forbearance or the regulatory emergency medicine which has been adopted during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, so that the economy will not be sluggish or it will not further be disturbed. Now it's time that we discontinue the emergency medicine at the first opportunity when the economy exhibits recovery, because as the economy is exhibiting recovery, and as said in the economic survey that India's economy is in the middle of the V-shaped economic recovery, so it is time that we should discontinue the emergency medicine. And the survey has also cited the lessons which the world has to learn, that the prolonged continuance of the loosened regulations, here the key phrase, that means there was a prolonged continuation of the regulatory forbearance, which the regulatory forbearance has become loosened regulations over 7 years, which we have experienced during the global financial crisis at or in the year 2008. So here the economic survey is exhibiting or making it very clear that the need to discontinue the regulatory forbearance or medicine has to be discontinued, quoting the example of the global financial crisis of 2008, wherein there was prolonged continuance of loosened regulations for 7 years during the global financial crisis of 2008. And what has happened, or what was the result of the prolonged continuance of the loosened regulations over 7 years in the year 2008 during the global financial crisis, is that it resulted in detrimental consequences for banks, for firms, and to the economy of the world nations. Please do understand, when the regulatory forbearance, which is emergency medicine, is continued, and when it is continuous, if it is loosened regulations, so this continuation of the loosened regulation will result in unintended detrimental consequences to the banks, to the firms, and to the economy, and thereby stating the example of the loosened regulations over 7 years during the global financial crisis of 2008, that the economic survey says that it is necessary that we discontinue the regulation forbearance That is, the emergency medicine should be discontinued. And it went on for 7 years up till 2011, even when the GDP, exports, IIP, and credit growth have all recovered significantly. But still, it continued for 7 years, and the result was the banks, firms, and economy were detrimental. They were at the receiving end. And the survey also recommends the policy makers to set a threshold of economic recovery. This is a keyword again, key phrase, so keyword. That the threshold of economic recovery is being recommended by the economic survey to the policy makers to set up, so that there would be measures which would be withdrawn, and this threshold which is recommended by the economic survey to the policy makers ought to be communicated even to the banks in advance, so that the banks can prepare for the same withdrawal of the measures, or else the same what the world has experienced during the global financial crisis, that the detrimental consequences of the banks, firms, and economy would also be experienced even now if the policy makers are not communicating the threshold of economic recovery to the banks in advance. So, the threshold of economic recovery, prolonged continuance of loosened regulations, global financial crisis of 2008, and the recommendations by the economic survey are all the keywords here. And there is another news which talks about bare necessity gap. So we are talking about the keyword here, focusing on the keyword, that is bare necessities index, BNI, and which the bare necessity index, which has been introduced in the economic survey 2021, is the new index, and that is why it is crucial for prelims, UPSC, and mains perspective, that the new index which is incorporated in the economic survey 2021 is bare necessity index. And this, as per or according to the bare necessities index, poorer states have reduced the gaps. Here important is reducing the gap. Poorer states reducing the gap with the rich states has taken up or has been experienced. And how or the gap has been reduced in providing citizens the access to the basics of daily life. So what are the basics of daily life? That is housing, water, power, sanitation, and cooking gas are considered as the basics of daily life. And this basics of daily lives, the gap has been reduced between the poorer states and the rich states, and this is been highlighted in the economic survey through the new index called as bare necessities index. And this index draws its names, or it has its names from Balu the Bear song, Balu the Bear songs, which is in the movie, which is by the Rudyard Kipling's, which is in the Jungle Book. So this is again from the prelims perspective, that there could be a possibility that the new bare necessities index in the economic survey 2021 draws its name from which among the following song and which among the following books. That is from the Balu the Bear song in the movie, that is adaptations of the Rudyard Kipling Jungle Book. And if you look at the bare necessity index, which tops the states are Kerala, Punjab, Haryana, and Gujarat, and the one which are at the least is the eastern Indian states, that is Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Tripura. And the states which have shown a significant improvement in the bare necessities index, that is basic, as we discussed, basics of daily life, is the access which if the citizen is having in regards to the housing, water, power, sanitation and cooking gas, then the states which have shown a significant impact or improvement is Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. And as per the bare necessities index, the interstate disparities have declined in the year 2018 when compare it with 2012 in regards to the interstate disparities, which is across the rural and urban areas in the interstate. And for this decline of the interstate disparities, as per the bare necessities index, what is very important is better center state coordination with local governments is needed. So here the key phrase is better center state coordination, and that center state coordination with local governments is need of the hour, because the center state coordination with the local governments are responsible for civic amenities in urban areas, and the BNI, that is bare necessities index, should be also constructed at district level, and it can be taken up even at the district level by using the annual household survey data. So at the local governments there should be a better center state coordination so that interstate disparities can reduce, and there would be a better civic amenities provided in the urban areas. And at the district levels, the bare necessity index can take up the survey, that is data by the annual household survey data, to show progress in the interstate disparities declining. So this we have looked at from prelims and mains perspective about the new index which has come up in the Economic Survey 2021, that is bare necessities index. And there is another news which talks about increase ration shop prices of rice and wheat. It looks very awkward because it is the duty and responsibility of the government of India to provide subsidized prices to the economically weaker sections. But the Economic Survey of 2021 recommends that center must increase the prices of the subsidized rice and wheat which is provided at ration shops, that is fair price or fair ration shops, so that it can trim, it can overcome the bulging or the overburden of food subsidy bill. And this food subsidy bill is, the center is providing the subsidized rice and wheat to 80 crore poor people. So the keyword is food subsidy bill. As the food subsidy bill is increasing, is bulging, the Economic Survey is recommending the center to increase the price to overcome the food subsidy bill. And as per or under the National Food Security Act, the ration card holders are allowed to buy 5 kg of food grains per person every month at a subsidized rate of 2 rupees per kg for wheat and rupees 3 per kg of rice. And this amount of rupees 2 per kg for wheat and rupees 3 per kg of rice, the Economic Survey is recommending the center to increase the price. This is what the subsidized price, rupees 2 and rupees 3 respectively per kg for wheat and rice. But we will also look at what price the center is purchasing to provide the subsidized rice and wheat to 80 crore poor people in India, and how it is impacting negatively or impacting the food subsidy bill. And the rate which the economic survey is recommending the center to increase, that rate or price is known as central issue price, and this is the keyword which is specifically important for prelims perspective. So the price which the economic survey is recommended in 2020-2021 economic survey to increase the price for the center of the subsidized rice to the wheat and rice is known as dash, or which among the following? It is central issue price. And this central issue price has not been increased since the National Food Security Act, which has come up in the year 2018. So that means since 2013 onwards, which wherein NFSA Act has come into existence, since then the central issue price has not been increased, and thereby the economic survey is now recommending the center to increase the price. Why? To overcome the food subsidy bill and the Food Corporation of India's economic cost of buying and distributing the food grains has surged. And for wheat, the economic cost has risen from 19 per kg in 2013-14 to almost 27 per kg in the year 2021. And the economic cost has risen for rice to 26 per kg in the year 2013-14 to 37 per kg in the year 2021. That means the government is providing the subsidized price of rupees 2 and rupees 3. So rupees 2 is for wheat and rupees 3 is for rice, is actually the central government is purchasing the wheat at 27 rupees per kg, and it is purchasing rice at 37 per kg, but it is providing to the 80 crore poor people at a price of rupees 2 to wheat and rupees 3 to rice. That is why the economic survey is recommending to increase the central issue price to overcome the food subsidy bill. And the survey has also said that as it is difficult to reduce the economic cost of food management, here what is crucial or the keyword is economic cost. Economic cost of rice and wheat and the subsidized price of rice and wheat and the central issue price. These are the keyword. And the survey says that as it is difficult to reduce the economic cost of food management in view of the rising containment towards food security, that is as per the National Food Security Act of 2013, there is a need to consider the revision of CIP. Are you getting the point? Yes. As the government cannot reduce, or it is difficult to reduce the economic cost of the food management of rice and wheat, because there is a commitment by the government or union government towards the food security through National Food Security Act of 2013. Thereby, it is necessary or it is the need of the hour to reconsider or to consider the revision of the central issue price to reduce the bulging food security bill. And this is what the analysis is. And you can take this as a question itself. While it is difficult to reduce the economic cost of food management in view of rising commitment towards food security, there is a need to consider the revision of central issue price to reduce the bulging food subsidy bill. Critically evaluate. So you can take this as a question for the mains examination. Please do try to write this, because you have the economic cost here, you have the food economic cost of the food management, food security, that is the NFSA, National Food Security Act of 2013, and the revision of CIP and the food subsidy bill. There are 4 or 5 keywords, crucial keywords, which you can certainly look into it and then frame an answer. So, critically evaluate means. And there is another news which talks about the keyword agility. So this is the keyword. Agility is the key to what? To counter pandemics. To counter pandemics. And the economic survey has noted that the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic situation has showcased, or it has brought in that the importance of the healthcare crisis, that it can get transformed, or it can get into the mode of an economic and social crisis. So thereby, the economic survey is now noting that the COVID-19 pandemic crisis can, or which has showcased as a healthcare crisis, can be transformed into an economic and social crisis. Please do understand, economic and social crisis, and to add this, labor crisis. So how the COVID-19 pandemic situation has led to the economic crisis and led to the health crisis, economic crisis, social crisis, and then labor crisis. These are the areas which you need to keep focusing, how it has transformed. And the economic crisis, or we have seen what has been emphasized by the economic survey, that the healthcare policy must not become beholden in the sense being obliged to what? Saliency, that is prominence bias. Please do understand here, this could also be a mains question. Healthcare policy must not become beholden to saliency bias, where policy overweighs a recent phenomena. Discuss. That is, we are saying that the healthcare policy which has been taken up during the period as an emergency period cannot become, or must not become beholden, that is obliged to prominence bias, because policy overweighs a recent phenomenon. So policy should be a long-term perspective policy. It should not be inclined towards any recent phenomena, because healthcare policy must not become beholden or obliged to saliency or prominence bias, where policy overweighs. That means here the government policies or the structural reforms overweighs a recent phenomena. Discuss for mains examination. So here we are talking about the policies, and we are talking about the policies which are again pertaining to health, and then linking it with the economy. And here in the first statement, we are focused in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic situation, to the health crisis, to the economic crisis, to the social crisis, and to the labor crisis. In the second statement, we are focused that the healthcare policy should not be obliged, or should not, stick to, or keep on thanking the prominence bias or the salience bias, because policy overweighs recent phenomena. So we have looked at 2 statements which can be considered as the mains examination questions. And the economic survey has also enabled India to respond to pandemics, so that the health infrastructure must be agile and healthcare policy must continue focusing on its long-term healthcare priorities. That is what it says. We should not focus, or we should not stick to the recent phenomenon. Policies should overweigh the recent phenomena, focusing on a long-term health priorities, and that is how the health infrastructure must be agile and healthcare policy must continue focusing on its long-term healthcare priorities. And again, in the third statement also, you can consider this as a mains examination point of view. The healthcare infrastructure must be agile and India's healthcare policy must continue focusing on a long-term healthcare priorities. You can say this as saying that discuss for mains examination. So we have all the three statements which we have considered as the question for the mains examination. And the survey also states that in regards to focusing on the health infrastructure and healthcare policy, that every hospital must be equipped with at least one ward in the hospital which can be quickly modified to respond to a national health emergency like the COVID-19 pandemic situation, while it is also caring for the normal diseases during the usual times or normal times. So it is very important that the health infrastructure must be agile, that it should be equipped that at least one ward in the hospital can be quickly modified to respond to the national health emergency. Here the keyword is national health emergency, and linking it with the health infrastructure and India's healthcare policy. So look at it. We have almost 4 statements as 4 questions which you can take it for the mains examinations. And now again I would ask you or request you to write a question, at least one for this, that is, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has showcased that a healthcare crisis can get transformed into economic, social, and we also spoke about the labor crisis. Critically evaluate. So do try writing the answer for the mains examination, which will put you into the mode of practicing for the mains examination, so that your answers, by imbibing the keywords and the key phrases, would certainly score higher marks. And now we will focus at the recapitulate of the DNA, and here, or mostly everything, we are focused from economy point of view. From the economic survey, the only one which we are focused today is in regards to the internal security, that is in regards to Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of 2010, wherein there was amendment in the year September 2020, and the provision which was inserted was that the NGOs or the associations or individuals who are transferring the money into India should have a designated FCRA account in the SBI of New Delhi. So this is almost, we are focused at the economic survey, and I hope this session was an informative, knowledgeable, and we have certainly focused from macro and micro level, that is mains and prelims perspective. And I would say a very big thank you to you all. Good luck, and then do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and the Telegram link of AKS, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then see you again tomorrow with the DNA at the AKS. Till then, thank you, take care, and then goodbye.
This video is brought to you by AKS IAS.